Hello there and welcome to another podcast with NUFC 360. And today we're going to be talking about the Champions League glory and reaction to everything that happened last night, from the highs to the transfer lows, and then what we've got coming up this weekend with a clash against Villa, who are always a tough opponent for us, but we do have the upper hand on them at home. And with me today, we've got Cal, Cathal, and Andy. Andy's there rocking with the new retro shirt. He was one of those guys lining up outside the store, waiting for it. How are you, Andy? How's everything?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, keeping busy. I was unfortunately gave my ticket up to my brother last night so he could go to his first ever Champions League match, and he owes me big time.
Definitely. Cal, how are you?
Yeah, all good. Oh, Cal and Carter, we've got a clash.
We got a clash.
We've got a kick clash.
Cal, go ahead. Cal, sorry.
So we'll go Cal, Cathal. So then we keep it
Yeah,
the name. So
yeah, smash them.
So Cal, how are you doing?
I'm good. But
Cathal, how are you feeling after last night?
A good mood. I've definitely had worse days this week, so I think today was definitely a good one.
Good. So obviously last night's performance was, I still think we had still something missing, but I think it was one of our better performances. Obviously Anthony Gordon getting on the score sheet from open play, which was a nice thing to see. Wissa, first start in the Champions League, first goal in the Champions League. Andy, give us your thoughts from obviously watching it at home instead of being in the stadium. At least you stayed dry. That's a positive.
One small crumb of comfort there, I suppose. I thought it was a fantastic performance, really. I don't think you can look at anybody who played yesterday at all and think they had a bad game. I thought it was solid defensively. I thought in midfield, there was a bit of back and forth, and there's moments where they came into the game, but overall, particularly when Bruno was on the pitch, I thought we looked really good in midfield, and attacking wise, it seemed to click better than it certainly has at the weekend. So yes, I really enjoyed the game. Some really good performances from a few players, and we can't fault a 3-0 win in the Champions League ever, really. So yeah, I was absolutely delighted with how the game went.
Great, yeah. Cathal, who was your standout performance yesterday? Who stood out the most for you?
Moments of the game, PSV had a lot of the ball. I thought defensively, the back four really solid. Sven Botman looks back to his very best, has to be said. A month ago, I thought probably wasn't at full tilt. Maybe wasn't fully back, but last night you could see him, the sprints, the tackles he was making. Thought he was phenomenal at the back. Malik Thiaw obviously is a standout again, but that's old news this season, really. Smashing performance, and like Lewis Hall. I don't mind losing Tino in the summer if you keep a hold of Lewis Hall. He's a phenomenal fullback.
No, I agree. Cal, so for you, which aspect was most important? What do you think really stood out for us in that performance?
I would say the main standard thing was Eddie Howe made a slight change tactically. Obviously, we're still set up with the same sort of 4-4-3, but instead of just having the midfield three just being a solid line, he obviously told Sandro Tonali to sit back, stay in front of the defence. Obviously, sort of be a bit of an anchor in that midfield, and he told Joe Linton to push forward, join Wissa in the attack. And I feel that's what we've been missing. I feel like our midfield's been sitting a bit too deep, and the fingers are a bit too wide. But with having Joe Linton join the attack, I feel like the link-up play with Wissa in the wingers was phenomenal. Like literally, I'm hoping that's the way that we're playing going forward, because I think we'll start picking up a lot more wins if we do start playing like that.
No, I agree. I think it was good performance. I was crying out, I won't lie, at the beginning when the fixture sheet came out, I was crying out for Gordon to play on the right and Barnes to play on the left, just because I feel it's got to be done at some point with the way Barnes is playing. He's earned his right to play in his position. But yesterday, it worked well. Obviously, there were subs made. I think the subs were made at the right time. I think we've all criticised Eddie for not making subs at the right time. I think yesterday he did that. And I believe there was a lot of applause and big shouts for Elanga and chanting his name. Carl, you were there. What was the atmosphere like when he came on? Obviously, he's been lacking. I can see Andy smiling because he knows my point of view on this. But what was the atmosphere for Elanga and how he performed for that last 20 minutes?
Yeah, it was such a positive reception. Like, you can tell the crowd was really getting behind him. I feel like he had a really good performance. He did all he could with the chances he had in the 20 odd minutes he had to play. I feel like he did really well. I think this would have been the game to maybe give him a start with the crowd being a bit up for it, a bit more with being a Champions League night, maybe give him that sort of confidence boost. But no, for the 20 odd minutes he had to play, he did really well. Like he couldn't have done much more with the time he was given.
Would you have joined in the warm reception for him, Jason, if you'd been there, or would it have been a little frostier from you?
Can we move on to the next section? No, you know what? He's wearing the Newcastle badge. I'll always support every player with a Newcastle badge, and I think every footballer takes criticism. Yesterday he did come on and he did perform well. I'll be the first one to say that. I don't know what he's doing, what he did different in my opinion, but I think his movement was better. I thought when he got the ball, his decision making was better, which in other games I've just seen him get the ball and put his head down and run, and then it's just running into dead ends. Whereas I felt yesterday he didn't do that so much. Plus his pace, it suited that game because PSV were pushing forward all the time, so there was always spaces in the back. Whereas when we play against a team like when we played against Wolves, and they've put in 11 men just sitting back on the 18-yard line, that's not a game for Elanga because that's not his situation to be in. That's my point of view. But yeah, Cathal, what was your thoughts on obviously this very, very special moment that happened in the last 5 minutes? I think Trippier pulled a very fast one on everyone, popping that armband on Captain Miley there for the last 5 minutes. That gave a bit of emotion and uproar in the stadium there for everybody. What were your thoughts on that?
Just a very special moment, really. Kids born and bred, Geordie, just wearing the captain's armband in the Champions League game at 19 years of age. I remember, I think it was 2 seasons ago, he played PSG away. Now, that was only because he had to play, and he didn't look like he was anything different to anyone else on the pitch. He was a special player then, and this season especially, I think he's kicked on miles in his development, to be honest with you. Probably the future captain of the club. I don't see him going anywhere. I think he's the one club man.
No, I think I agree with that. Andy, what's your point? What's your view on that? Obviously, he's been playing right back for some games, and now he's got back in midfield again. And for me, I know we've got a strong midfield with Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton, but I've got to tell you, he is fighting for one of those places.
It certainly is. I think you've got to be a special talent to even get a sniff with them three in the club. I completely agree with Carl. I think it was a special moment for him. I can't imagine how proud, as a family member, you'd be sat in the stands seeing his son at 19 years old getting handed the captain's armband. And then Eddie Howe's quotes after the game sounds like he's talking about him as a future captain of Newcastle. He looks like butter wouldn't melt. He's still got that kind of babyish face, hasn't he? And he doesn't look like, some like chest beating warrior of a player at the moment, but there must be something in him if they're handing him the captain's armband and talking about him, the future captain of Newcastle. Then, I'll take Eddie Howe's word for it and just see what he's like behind the scenes.
I'd like to know if it was planned or if that was just off the back of it with Trippier. I'm not sure if Trippier was the one that.
Yeah, Trippier's off the cuff. I suppose none of the sort of traditional leadership group of the team were on the pitch to hand it to. Maybe he was stood nearby him and it occurred to him in the moment, but I thought it was a really, really nice touch.
No, it was. I thought it was brilliant. So Champions League now, that leaves us in 7th in the table, along with 13 points, along with 8 other teams. So obviously PSG is one of those. We've got Chelsea, Barcelona, Sporting, City, Atletico Madrid, and Atlanta. I tell you what, considering Barcelona were one of the first teams we played with, and we're on the same points as them now after they snuck the win against us at St James's Park, the fact that we're matching these big teams is quite special, to be fair. And the next round of games are really going to be interesting because we could either finish, I think it's third, or 16th or 17th at the end of next week's game. That's how much it can swing. Andy, what we thinking on that? What do you think? What do you think is going to go down at PSG? We've got unfinished business there, or?
Well, firstly, I think the bit that seems like it's been taken as a bit of a given is last night's result guaranteed that we will at least get into knockout football in the Champions League, assuming that you count the playoff. Well, obviously it is knockouts. I think that's a massive achievement for this football club. We got through in the 2000s to what used to be a second round group stage, but we've never ever got to the territory of knockout football in the Champions League. I think with it being as tight as it is, a draw suits neither team. Next week we could both us and PSG, because we're both on 13 points, could go down, drop us both down into the playoffs and drop us out of the top 8, and the 2 extra midweeks that are involved in that. I'm going over, but I don't have a ticket for the game, so I'm hoping it's a decent match. I'm really looking forward to just being there, really. But should be an exciting one. And you might as well both go for it, haven't you? If a draw doesn't suit anybody, so it might be a decent game. And again, we seem to do better against teams that come out and have a bit of a go and try and play a bit of football. So maybe that'll suit us.
Are you taking your boxing gloves with you when you go over next week?
Well, I'm more worrying about my own safety than being to anybody else, I think. Maybe a stab vest.
I was going to say, yeah, obviously that's a big thing going over there because we don't have the French police are not the best. Cal, how would you set up against this PSG team, and how do you think we can get past them? Obviously, it's not the same team we played last time because obviously there's no Mbappe playing for them anymore. It's a different PSG team. They are currently the European champions. So, what do you think we need to do to approach this game?
I think really we should just give it everything we've got. I mean, we probably haven't got much chance of winning it. Well, we're not going to win the Premier League. We've got a huge mountain to climb to try and retain the League Cup. The FA Cup's going to be a hard game against Villa when we play them. So I think just put out the best 11 that we can. And if we play similar to how we did against PSV, I think we've got a good chance. I think we do have a good chance. I mean, yeah, they're not the same team that we played a couple of years ago, but neither are we really when you think about it. So I think we've got a good chance of even though we're taking a draw, I can walk away from that being happy. We've got another game in the Champions League, so great for match day revenue. All in all, I'm pretty positive going into it. I think we can at least come away with a point.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think looking at the fixtures of the other teams as well, which obviously is a big factor. You've got Chelsea are away at Napoli, so that's a tough game for them. Barcelona at home to Copenhagen. City are at home to Galatasaray. Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid are at home against the team that beat Manchester City. So I would not take anything for granted with them this season.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, we know in Champions League anything can happen. Cathal, where would you stand on this? What's your thoughts? What's your prediction? And obviously, there's thoughts that Dan Burns couldn't be fit for next week as well. Does he just go straight back into the team, or does he go on the bench?
It's a big decision for Eddie. Eddie has his favourites. We can't ignore that. Obviously, Dan was a big part of the team that played PSG the last time we played them. Roaring at the sideline and everything. Brilliant game. My view on it is it's a free hit, to be honest with you. Go gun ho for it. PSG will be going for it as well. They're 50-50 chance. Go at it. Give it a hammer and tongue. If we lose, we lose. We get a point, get a point. Like, we're relying on those other results regardless, really, if we don't win. So
I like it. I like that. Just go for it, no matter what. Like you say, it is a free hit. It was like Andy said. We are through to the next part of the competition, no matter what. Whether it's to the knockout stage or to the playoff stage, we're through to the next part. We're not being eliminated, so we can just go for it. Now, the concern here is we've got all these games that have been played: Champions League, Premier League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, and the transfer window has been quiet to an extreme point. But I do believe there is one name we've been linked to, Cal. Could you tell us that name?
Keith Surveys at Outlaw has been linked quite a bit, but I think there's been reports like in the last few days saying that we have been making attempts to sign him, but they've been getting rejected by his at Altmore left, right, and centre. So I think they're maybe looking to cash in on the summer, but whether that'll increase his value if his form keeps going the way it's been going, will that put us out the market with with the financial strains that seem to be on Newcastle at the minute? It's hard to say, but yeah, other than that, there's links here and there, but nothing in terms of we're putting any offers. Just there's a very typical quiet Newcastle January transfer window, unfortunately.
Can someone tell me why Manchester City have gone inside Mark Gay, yet now Nathan Ake could be a very, very good asset as a buy for any football club? Because he is a good defender, he is a strong defender, adds to a team. And someone tell me why we're not looking at that. Because for me, I think that could be a good addition to have in our squad. I know we've got Botman and Malik Chow and Dan Burn, but you've got to look at and Fabian Schär when he comes back as well, who I do think will get a new contract. But he, for me, right now, is probably one of the signings to help our defence. Andy, what do you think on that?
Well, I think that probably the reason that they aren't is they've gone in for Gay and not waited for the summer because they've had a few injuries in central defence at Man City, haven't they? Guardiola's broken his leg. I think they've got one of the centre half who's out as well. So if they've added Gay to add depth and quality to the defence, then obviously then one in, one out wouldn't really work for them at the moment. And maybe if you offer them a particularly good price that they thought that they weren't going to get in the summer, that you might get him. He's a decent option. He's, proven Premier League quality. I may well be interested in him in the summer, but I suppose we might shop around. And if rumours are to be believed, we're not going to be shopping in the Premier League market quite as much as we have for the past few years. So we'll see. But I think the reason we're probably going to struggle to do a deal there is they want the extra man with Gay as well as what Gay brings as a player.
Well, yeah, no, I get that. And looking abroad is probably where we found our best talents up to now. You look, we've gone to Italy, brought in some good players: Voltemada, Malik Chow, Tonali. Those sort of players, we're finding them, and it's not Premier League because obviously Premier League players add Newcastle tax onto everything that we buy, don't they? So it's that's another factor. Well, that kills the transfer talk because there's not much more else I can mention on that side of it.
Brief.
So let's lead on to this Sunday, home to Villa. I would usually say that I'm worried about this game, but when I was pulling up the stats the last 5 games at St James's Park, we've actually won 4 and drawn 1. So we've had a 3-0 win, a 5-1 win, a 4-0 win, a 1-0 win, and a 1-1 draw, which gives me a lot of confidence. Obviously, at St James's Park, it looks like Villa, don't want to curse it, but it's one of their stadiums that they come to with a bit of fear. Cathal, what do you think? What's your prediction? What do you think we're going? How do you think we're going to set up for this Sunday?
I wouldn't be surprised if we went for the same setup we had against PSV. Personally, go for the game. Villa are there for the taking, especially they're in good form this season, but I think our home record stands a lot to us. And if we get them under the cosh early, maybe get an early goal like we did against PSV, they might crumble and we might go on to score a few. Our goal record at home would suggest that anyway. Personally, my prediction would probably be 2-3-1 Newcastle. Probably lean more towards 3-1.
Okay, good shout. Cal, who we're thinking, does it look more likely that Baltimore is going to be starting this game because Wissa started in the Champions League, or do you think Wissa will play, or do you think he could play both of them like he did a couple of weeks ago?
Possibly could play both of them, but I think just sticking with the formation that we've got is probably the best way to go about it. But then again, will Bruno be fit come Sunday? Obviously, he was subbed off like just for half time. I think that could depend on how the team's actually set up, who's going to be playing. But yeah, I think if Bruno isn't fit, I would like to see Lewis Miley come into that position in the centre midfield. But yes, I might leave a bit vulnerable at right back, but I'm sure if Kieran Trippier has to come off, like he can just slot straight back in the defence. But yeah, I think I would like to see, whether it be Vista or Baltimore, I would like to see like Joe Linton play in the same way that he played against PSV. I think just having that midfielder there to link the wingers in the forward is what we need.
No, yeah, 100%. And actually, you bringing that up, that was a fair shout. I think I forgot to mention that. So, Big Joe, if you do see this by any chance, do apologise. You were outstanding yesterday. It looked more like the Joe that we were used to last season rather than the Joe Linton we got the first season he joined us. So that was good to see yesterday. And he is our muscle. And he does fit in very well. And he was even giving a lot of stick yesterday, demanding a lot from other players, which is what I liked. Cal, did you give your prediction there? I didn't hear you say that. What you thought you're thinking? Scoreline against Villa?
I do love a 2-1. I think, to be fair, we have been a bit more solid defensively, but I think we'll go with 2-1. 2-1's always a safe prediction, I think.
Fair enough. Andy, what are you thinking there? Just chilling in that retro top there. Just come on, give us your big prediction. Give us your thoughts on this game against Villa.
So they've been. We've obviously been at home this midweek. We've won. We've played a day earlier. They've had to go away to Istanbul today. It looked like they've played a fairly strong lineup to do that. So maybe that gives us something of an advantage. And then obviously we're then at home at the weekend as well. So we've got 24 hours fresher, not had to travel, and maybe for that reason, that'd give us a little bit of confidence. I think the player I would be very fearful of from their perspective is Rodgers. I think he seems to be an incredible talent. I don't think you dislodge Jude Bellingham from the England team unless you're a pretty special player. So I think a good chance we could, we'd probably keep him quiet if maybe somebody like Joe Linton uses his muscles, as you've described him, on him. I would fancy one player to come off better physically there, I suppose. My prediction, I almost always think every game will be a draw, but I would completely contradict everything I've just said about confidence and all of everything else. So I'll go, if Carl said 3-2-1, I'll go 3-1 Newcastle at the weekend.
Ooh. Okay, nice. Obviously, thing for me is what changes are going to be made within the team. Obviously, rotation-wise, but we've got a lot of injuries at the moment. I fancy us big time against Villa this Sunday. As you just said, Villa are in action tonight. And travelling and then coming back, we know as a team the effect that has because we've gone through that, and you do suffer. Plus, I think Unai Emery hasn't been happy with the Villa performances the last couple of weeks from his press conferences. So I think their team is a little bit low at the moment. So to the point of that, I'm going for a big 4-0 win.
Ooh.
I don't even think they'll get a goal. I think we're going to be solid. And and I think we're just going to run wild on them. And I do think Gordon will score again from open play. I can say it now. I'm going to say it'll be Gordon, Barnes again, because Barnes is just on fire at the moment. Big Joe Linton and Nick Voltemada. I think we're going to have four different scorers. Confident, very confident on that one. So, lads, thank you for coming on for this podcast today. Obviously, we've flown through it all as quick as possible as well. Positive one for us today as well to take. So, Andy, thank you very much. Cal, again, thank you. Cathal, Matthew, to be with us on the first, really appreciate that. I hope I haven't murdered your name too much throughout the show. But
no, not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. And to everyone watching, who watches, please leave your comments below. Tell us what you think. Tell us your score predictions and get in touch. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.